All right, 6 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting to order. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everyone. The first item listed there is appointments. We have an opening on the library board that we've extended applications till November 18th. The next item we've listed is the consent agenda. Gentlemen, anything you'd like to discuss on there?
Item
Go ahead, Leonard.
D and F.
D as in dog?
D as in dog and F as in Frank.
Okay.
And I C is a proclamation. Did you want to leave it on consent agenda, or do you want to remove it?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
They wanted it off, and they said they wanted it on the consent.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, Fred, anything for you?
No.
All right, I move that we approve the consent agenda, items A, B, C, E, and G. May I have a second?
I second the motion.
All right, thank you, Leonard. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. So item D then is next. Consider a resolution of support for a tax credit project applied for by Cohen Esrey Affordable Partners, 300 East Myrtle Street.
On the information sent, it listed the neighborhood revitalization plan that they were going to request be modified. Looking back through our central business district, I think we've already included that in the neighborhood revitalization plan when we revised it. So will that be able to be a benefit from them in their application, or?
I don't know of any reason they wouldn't get the same benefit just because they get some tax credits. And
No, I mean, they were in their narrative, they said that they would come and request that the neighborhood revitalization plan be modified to include it. I didn't know if they knew up front as they make their application, could that have a better impact on them being awarded the grant? It's apparent that they don't know that it is in the neighborhood.
It could make a difference, but we can check that, and if it's not in, we can start the process.
No, it is. I
thought
looked
it
at
was.
the one we modified, the original 2008
So we amended
plan.
it, we put it in.
We did,
I know we expanded on most of them.
but they were under the impression it wasn't included, and it might be a benefit for them as they make their application. But,
They seem real optimistic that they'll get it next year.
So do you
Of
feel
course,
like
they were last year, too.
Yeah. Do you feel like we need to modify this resolution somewhere in here then, Leonard? Is that what you're proposing?
We can just
No.
get with them
No, okay.
and
It was.
notify them.
It wasn't in the resolution.
Okay.
It was back.
I don't think it belongs there. I think
in
they can
item E.
request it.
Yeah.
Said Washington School is not located within the NRP zone. Upon notification of the LIHTC award, will pursue an NPR application process.
Right.
And requesting that the zone be increased to include their project.
We can notify them that it is included.
All right. So we want to move forward with approving this
I'll make a
resolution?
motion that we issue the resolution in support of the tax credit for their housing project.
All right. I'll second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Great. Thank you, Leonard. Item F, consider awarding a contract to DBI for construction and installation of the new AWOS III PT at the Independence Municipal Airport.
On this, the funds will exceed our grant, and in the questions came up, the additional cost was noted that it would be covered by the special use sales tax, and with the special use sales tax and additional expenses that we had, what money do we have? And with it being the airport project, is there not funds in the airport fund to provide the additional $19,000?
No, there's not funds in the airport fund to do that. We do have $16,500 budgeted in the sales tax. We also have the train canopy in the park that's in there for $152,000, and it's going to be far less than that, the way we're looking at doing it now with Westar helping. So there will be funds there to cover that $3612.40. That's in addition to the $16,500 that's already budgeted.
Okay, 'cause we didn't have any budget in the airport budget for that.
Not in the airport,
Yeah,
no.
okay.
What happened on that is originally, as you know, I've told you, it was $100,000, and when we got the proposal in, they came in at $168, and KDOT came back and said they would provide 90% up to $165. So we would have to cover the 10% up to $165 plus the $3,612.40, I think it is, above that for our local share of $20,112.40.
So that would be under the, what, building maintenance portion?
That would be under the sales tax, under the taking it from the train canopy.
And which is under the, what, building maintenance portion?
It's listed as the train canopy in the budget.
We got 4 areas: ADA, debt
It's
reduction.
in the facility. In the facility, the quarter penny designated for facilities.
Facilities, okay. Okay, that was just making sure. We've had a lot of expenses coming up that I think it been mentioned that special use sales tax was going to cover, and with this not being noted in the budget, I was wanting to make sure we weren't missing some other project. So with that, I would make a motion that we will award the contract to DBT. Isn't it DBT instead
Yes,
of
it's DBT.
DBT for construction, installation of the new AWOS III PT at the municipal airport?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, 3-0 on that one. Okay, we'll move on to item H, public hearing to consider condemnation of 309 Cypress as dangerous and unsafe. So the public hearing is now open. Don, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, this, we've done the HQS inspection. It doesn't pass the HQS inspection, so we're recommending that we proceed with condemnation on this property. I think the homeowner is here.
Can you give us a little background on this one for those that...
Well, I think at one time, before I took this job, it was scheduled for demolition. I think the process wasn't done correctly, so it had to go back through the process. So I've done an inspection there. The inside has some work to do, but the main concern for me are the foundation walls in the basement on the west side and north side, and also on the south side. So I'd like to see those repaired. And
I know that we talked about this a long time ago. Other folks helped me, but the previous owner of the home came before the commission and said it was not worth saving or some
Right.
such thing. And
That's what I was thinking.
she signed a statement saying we were free to go ahead and bring it down, or something like that. I can't remember exactly the details. And then the next thing we knew, she'd sold it to a new owner, and so he's been struggling with this for the last year and a half. So then we realized we hadn't gone through the steps to condemn it because we already had a statement from the previous owner saying we didn't have to.
Right.
So we're kind of starting back at the beginning now? Or?
Right. So we've
Okay.
gone through the HQS inspection, which we do on all properties.
Right.
And so it doesn't pass the inspection, so we're bringing it before the commission to go to
Right.
recommend condemnation on that.
So, and if we decide to condemn it,
Mm-hmm.
he still has the opportunity.
Still has the opportunity to
Right.
work
Because we're starting
to
back
get
at
it
the beginning.
repaired. And
Okay.
that starts the
It just
process
starts the
of
process.
setting a timeline and working
Yeah.
through the timeline to get it rehabilitated.
we lost a year and a half or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a public hearing. Anyone is welcome to speak at this time if they'd like to, including the property owner.
I definitely want to speak if there's anyone against this. I'm going to speak first. Is there anyone?
Anybody going to speak other than the property owner? All right.
Well, the only
Gene?
thing was, definitely if I'm allowed 9 months to continue to make renovations that passes HQS inspection, I'm fine with that. Obviously, I prefer it not be on the list at all. I don't think we can do that. And sort of not doing that, I absolutely would like the opportunity to make those improvements, and I can make that plan with Don.
Okay.
For what needs to be made.
All right. Fair enough.
I thought it had been condemned, that we issued all the notification. Then I was surprised to see that we're having a public hearing on it again.
Yeah, it's a very messy one.
Yeah, I thought it was all set. It was even scheduled to be on the bid list for demolition, and so to come back and address it again as being condemned, it doesn't really make sense.
Agreed. It doesn't really make sense.
Didn't complete the process. We never completed
It's a
the
public
process.
hearing. You're free to speak.
No, I
young
just
lady.
didn't know
No,
if-
sure. Yeah,
Well,
because it is
no,
it's
I
extremely
understand.
As
messy.
to what happened.
I understand that, but we've taken it through to the point of issuing, ready to issue a bid, and in fact, I think initially it set it for immediate removal, but it took 8 months to get it put in with a list of property to be removed, and to come. We went through the process once. We haven't removed it from condemnation. So are we going to double condemn it?
Well, it's never been officially condemned. That's the challenge that we're facing. We researched it, and that's what we found.
We never voted to condemn it because the previous owner gave us a
Right.
signed
It
document.
was set for public hearing to be condemned. And during that time, the previous owner signed off for it to be torn down. So it never had its public hearing to be officially condemned. The thought process was, it was in the spreadsheet that it had been condemned. Previous, I think city clerk had put it in there. It hadn't been verified and checked until we were getting ready to go out for bid. That's when it was discovered 3 or 4 weeks ago that it had not officially been condemned. Therefore, we had to start the process over again. That's why you're set the public hearing today, and that's why Mr. Carlson now will have the 9 months to work on the project. So that's what transpired.
I think they came in at the commission meeting with the signed document, and the attorney said we didn't need to condemn it.
The previous owner.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Yes, I believe that. That's the way I remember it. Although
It
it's
just
terrible.
didn't go through its official process to be
Right.
condemned.
That's
It
why
didn't
we-
have its public hearing.
We'd be better off completing those processes as we can, so that something
Right.
like that happens, we don't have to.
Seemed like a slam dunk at the time, saving us a lot of trouble. The owner wanted to sign the document, but
Bounced off the back of the room.
yeah, there you go. All right. Anybody else want to speak at
So
the
you,
public hearing before we close the public hearing? Mr. Carlson.
One more item I'd like to
Sure.
mention. What I would like to say is this time around, I did get a full notice that actually included the resolutions 2014-14 and 2014-15, so I appreciated that, that outlined the process. Part of the ambiguity previous was knowing the process, knowing
Right.
where I stood in that process, and I'm thankful that I got it this time. I got the notices, and that
Right.
seems like this is what's being done right this time. So I appreciate that.
Well, it was a very messy one, considering you signed an agreement to purchase it when she'd already signed an agreement for us to bulldoze it. So,
And you're familiar with the process,
yeah, you know the drill.
so you know.
Okay. All right. Shall we go ahead and close the public hearing then? All right.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
All right. Second, all in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. So do we want to take action on this, gentlemen?
Then make a motion that we begin the condemnation process on 309 Cypress as dangerous and unsafe.
I'll second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, 2-1 on that one. Okay, thank you, Don. Thank you, Mr. Carlson. So you'll work with Don to get a time, you know the drill. We'd love to see that looking gorgeous. Okay, next item, item I, consider bids received for removal of the following previously condemned properties. Shall we go down the list here, or you guys feel like you want to discuss them? Don, is there any reason to discuss each of these individually?
I would like to discuss 804 West Main.
Okay, well, let's just go down the list then. Mm-hmm. So 508 South 16th. Any reason to discuss that? Okay. All right. Go ahead then, 804 West Main.
I've been contacted by the new owner. This was purchased at the sheriff's tax sale. The new owner contacted me, is working, can't be here tonight. We just talked on the phone. He has an interest in trying to rehabilitate the property. He has sent me the following email that he would like for me to read.
Okay.
So my name is Joseph Wynn. I recently purchased the property at 804 West Main, Independence, Kansas. I am asking for time to work on the property. I make this promise to you: if I do not have the garage straightened out and strengthened by the end of spring, I will tear it down myself. So we're talking about the garage that's leaning.
It's leaning, yeah.
Wow. Back to the drawing board.
So is his impression that the garage is the only thing that has to be removed?
Well, he is of the impression that the interior of the dwelling and the dwelling itself will be fairly easy for him to get into shape. He knows that the garage is a challenge, and I told him that we have a big concern about the condition of the garage and feel that it may fall over soon, even if we take no action.
But you haven't been to the interior of that house, right?
The previous owner never met any of the inspection appointments,
Yeah.
so I have not been able to gain access to the interior.
So we have a bid in front of us to bring that one down. So the question for us is, do we want?
So it's been through the whole process,
Yeah.
correct?
Mm-hmm. But now we have somebody that would like to tackle it.
If he's a legal owner and he's willing to work a schedule with Don to renovate the house, I would be willing
Okay with it?
to consider it. Save us $5,800.
Yeah, it's not a cheap one. And
How do we legally do that in the process? Because it's been condemned.
You just don't award the bid, send it back to Don to work with the owner.
but then it's
Then-
still been
but-
condemned.
Yeah, you
It's-
don't uncondemn it.
So then we'd have to extend.
You don't have to extend anything, just don't accept the bid on that one property.
Okay.
So it's still up to that point. Send it back to Don to work with the owner with whatever instructions you want to give
In the
him.
process, so we have a 9-month limit. If it's over the 9 months, then we'll have to extend the timeline.
Yeah, that'd be up to you and Don.
Yeah, it is a new owner, so, would be, again, we're keeping the property on the tax roll if you can renovate it, and we just start the process of Don working with them to see that.
Give him a time, have him.
Set a new timeline with him to work through the repairs.
Then you'd bring the timeline to us for us to.
Well, what we've been asked to do prior is to set the timeline with him. We wouldn't bring it back to you unless for some reason he did not meet the timeline.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be great.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
So do we need to approve these individually, or
Yeah, I
can we?
think we're going to have to. So let's start with the first one. I move that we award the bid for removal of 508 South 16th to JRB for $5,800.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, on 804 West Main, I think we agree that we just won't take action on that one.
Reject,
So,
would reject the bid.
so you want to vote?
Reject it, or do you want to table it for 30 days to see if we get any activity? So you wouldn't have to rebid it all if nothing happened.
That's not a bad idea. actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so just let
Table.
that one sit
We'll
for
just
now.
table
although-
Table it 30 days and
Yeah, I don't
reevaluate.
expect we'll see any action in 30 days, but miracles
Well,
can
if he
happen.
gets a
Within 30 days, we should be able to set an appointment with him
Yeah.
and have a meeting and
Get a
and
timeline.
Get a timeline set.
I'd love for you to see the inside of it too.
I would too.
Somebody told me some vandals had gotten in there and stolen wiring or something, I think, so it might
It's
be
been
pretty bad.
setting open and secured.
Yeah.
But we had a house on 9th Street, 9th and Maple, that was severely fire damaged, and you go by it now, they're getting ready for new siding.
Yeah.
They gutted the house. You know, what it is now really doesn't matter. It's what they're going to do.
Yeah, if it's
Yeah, what
savable.
they're willing to do.
Yeah, I think that one is savable.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay with you guys to just not take action on that one?
just table it.
What's
We'll
in
table
your, in the bid information, I didn't get a chance to read it this afternoon. Usually you state that the bid is good for 30 days from the date of opening,
60 days.
60 on
So we
this.
should be okay.
Okay.
And then we can also ask them to extend it if you so desire, and we'll have a better idea.
Yeah, that'd be good. Okay.
Okay.
We may be in a position if it's not going to work out in the next 30 days to get another bid as well too on that one. So.
Okay, all right. So you want to make a
So-
motion to table that one?
Make a motion, we table 804 West Main. Demolition, 804 West Main.
All right, I'll second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, 3-0 on that one. Okay, 601 South First. Don, any discussion on that? Okay.
That's the mobile home.
Yep. I move that we award the contract to JRB to remove 601 South First.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. 609 East Poplar.
I'd make a motion, we approve the $3,400 bid to remove 609 East Poplar. Excuse me.
All right, I'll second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, 625 North 16th. Any discussion on that?
That's in the process of being removed, isn't it?
That's the one on the corner. The one south of it is in the process of being removed.
Okay. Yeah, the address was missing. I thought,
Yeah. So this is the one just.
Okay.
This is the one just north of it on the corner.
Okay. I move that we approve the bid from JRB for $3,800 to remove 625 North 16th.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, 3-0 on that one. Okay. You're still up, aren't you, Don?
Yes.
Consider setting the date of January 26, 2017 for public hearings to consider condemnation of the following properties as dangerous and unsafe. 909 East Hill.
Yeah, there was a recent fire there, so there's quite a bit of damage inside the structure.
Okay.
and has the standard of over 25%
Yes.
damage been
Yeah,
modified?
we've already sent the letter to the insurance company.
Okay.
I make a motion then that we set the date of January 26, 2017 for a public hearing to consider condemnation of 909 East Hill.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, 3-0 on that one. Next is 412 North 19th.
Yes, I've had a chance to meet with the owner, went through the building, did the inspection, did the report. He's already started to work on the roof and some other things, but he realizes he was here earlier, couldn't stay for the meeting, had a letter, but we are going to work out. We have worked out a plan and a timeline. So,
Okay.
but we still
Great.
feel it needs to be condemned.
Yeah, move forward with the condemnation process, or at least schedule the public hearing.
Yeah.
All right. I'll move that we set the date of January 26, 2017 for a public hearing to consider condemnation of 412 North 19th.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, Don. Okay, item K, consider final assessed valuation and final mill levy. So the city clerk is going to explain this to us? Jen?
She didn't give me anything to tell you. I'm sorry.
Okay, any discussion on this?
So what we had submitted to the county clerk was an estimated total levy based on an assumed
Right.
assessment valuation. And since the valuation is down, then the mill levy was raised to generate the same number of funds.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
and this has been certified already by the county clerk.
Has a seal on
Well, then it's official.
it.
Okay. Any discussion?
Those assessed valuations that the city receives from the county are estimates.
Right.
These are the final certified assessed valuations. Actually, to get that close is not bad.
So staff's recommendation is to accept the final levy of 52.614 as provided by the county. Right? You gentlemen okay with that?
Sure.
The only thing we could do is lower our mill levy. We can't increase it
Right.
once it's been published. And
Okay. I will move then that we accept the final levy of 52.614 mils.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. 3-0 on that one. Okay. L, consider a request to override the State Historic Preservation Office for a project at 117 North Penn in the Downtown Historic District.
Before we start, I worked with the owner of the building to do the original drawing.
Okay.
My services were limited to preparing that drawing, and that was over a year ago. I have no additional services to provide on the project.
Okay.
I just want to make it clear concerning any conflict of interest. I'll submit to your opinions whether there is a conflict of interest exists. I'll move to the audience or.
Well, I think it's pretty clear, isn't it, Jeff, if he's gotten $5,000 in the last year, he's got a conflict of interest?
That's what the statute says.
That's up to him to decide.
Yeah, it's up to you to decide, though.
Well, to make 5,000, I'd need to give them another bill. About 4,500, if I believe. So,
This is the time to do it, then.
yeah,
That's why you've got an
Yeah.
audience. Okay.
yeah,
Well, I think you're in the clear then.
yeah. The service fee was considerably less than that limit.
All right. No wonder you're going broke, dude. Okay, welcome.
Hello. My name's Jennifer Burskins Everett. My husband Jared and I own the property at 117 North Penn. We bought the property in 2011. We are looking for a building permit to renovate the exterior of the building, the storefront, the north wall, and the west wall. We have found that there's water infiltration through the north wall because that used to be an interior wall. There's no insulation, and it's causing the brick to sweat. The west wall has water infiltration from cracks in the plaster that's there, and that's actually coming in from rainwater. You guys have the plan for repair. It's no different than what First Oak Bank did recently, 2 years or so ago, and we're just looking to keep the integrity of the building there. So that's what we're trying to do.
We tremendously appreciate your investment in the downtown, by the way. Having the downtown declared a historic district means the state gets involved, as you know. And so I'm still not quite sure on exactly what issues there are, why the state says it doesn't meet their requirements. Can you explain that a little further, or Leonard, can you?
Yeah, there are some things in their letter that need to be clarified. The building is in the historic district. It is a contributing building, but it's not a historic registered building. I think in the letter that was sent from the Kansas State Historical Society, it did refer that the properties listed in the National Register of Historic Places and or Register of Kansas Places are subject to review. This building is neither, just in the district.
Okay.
It also noted that the existing stucco as a character defining feature, and they referred to it as historic stucco. The building that was raised in 1978, thereabouts. So what they've misjudged the exterior finish material. It's not historic.
Right.
It was more of a cement whitewash seal. It wasn't an actual plastered applied finish. The storefront area has been modified extremely from the original. On the drawing, it's noted from the sandstone sill above is going to remain.
When you say the storefront, does that mean just the first
The
floor?
lower part,
Okay.
the entrance.
Uh-huh.
So the top part's not affected?
No, we're going to leave that.
Yeah.
Just
So
leave
this
it.
drawing we're looking at is not accurate for the upstairs.
No, that was the drawing I did a year ago when originally the whole facade was going to be covered with stucco, new windows, upstairs, a new cornice, and all that. Since then, came back that just the lower portion. So the transom area above the opening is going to mirror the building south. So
Great.
what it will do is bring continuity to the whole building. It seemed like the building was built as one unit.
Right. Certainly
But
appears that way.
It has two deeds, north and south half. So that's where the south half was modified a few years back, and now they're desiring to continue that lower appearance over.
Did the same
on
issue
their
come up
property.
with the south building? Was this an issue,
The first oak?
yeah, when they redid it? Because I remember when they did it, and
I don't know. Before my time.
I know it's before I was on the commission, so
Yeah.
I'm curious as to why it's an issue. If it wasn't an issue for them, why is it an issue now?
I don't know when we got the historic designation, but it may have been before that. Or I don't know.
Just prior to that?
It wasn't.
It wasn't declared, that wasn't a district at the time, first of 2000.
It was only 2 years ago.
They refinished it at that time, but what they did on the original part of the building, the district wasn't intact at that point in time, so. And I can't comment about the spot right next to her building, because I don't remember when that one was done. I remember when the main building was done, it was done prior to the historic district, so.
But we're doing the north face, which needs work. We're doing the west face, you said, which needs work. And the front of it, we're just making it look like the rest of that same building, pretty much, it sounds like.
Yes.
Seems like a win-win to me.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't
Okay.
have any problems with it. I don't know that it changes anything there other than it's new and an investment downtown.
Yeah, which we love to see. And I think we have a huge improvement. I like the plans. So we need a motion to override this State Historic Preservation Office.
What your motion needs to be is that you
Oh, thank you.
considered all relevant factors and that there's no feasible or prudent alternative to the proposal, and
Wow.
the program includes all possible planning to minimize harm to the property.
Wow, that's rather sweeping. Well,
You made your motion for it.
I make that.
Yeah.
That was the motion. I made that.
so moved. We've considered all alternatives. Okay, You got
Did you get that?
Yeah. Yeah. You
Well,
wanna-
we can get it.
It's on tape.
Yeah, it's on tape. Unless Larry fell asleep back there. No, he's good. He's good.
He's got it.
Okay. So, did you say you?
That's a motion.
Okay. I'll second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, 3-0. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you guys investing in the downtown very much. Can't wait to see it. You're going to start right away?
Yeah, we have to give 5 days
You have to give
notice
5
by
days.
certified mail to the state. before
5
we
days
can issue
notice.
the building permit.
We'll have to notify the state and give them 5 days
Okay.
to respond.
Right.
5 days.
Yeah, by doing that too, and I'm good with it, but we somewhat set a precedent, so
Right.
we can't forget that
Yeah.
as we move
Agreed.
forward. So,
Okay. All right. Item M. Consider quotes received for replacement of the heating system at the Independence Municipal Airport Round Top Hangar. Attached is a recommendation from Sean Clapp. Sean Clapp,
Yes.
welcome.
Since we've gotten that, I've provided you that information, we've got some additional information. We didn't have the electrical quote at the time. You can see on there, it says electrical was the estimate. I subsequently have gotten a quote on the electrical, and it came in at $6,900 to do the radiant tube heating versus the $5,800, what we were originally thinking it was going to cost. I do have a copy of the quote here if you would like it, but it was $6,900 to do both, either option to do the electrical for the radiant tube or the gas-fired heaters. My recommendation is we go with the radiant tube heaters. Mostly as a cost issue, it's still going to end up. It's going to be a less expensive option for the city to take over. And with that being, the airport hangar, they're going to be opening those doors during the wintertime, and that radiant heating is going to be much nicer than the gas-fired unit heaters. Additionally, we're a little leery about trying to mount those gas-fired unit heaters off any of the sidewall structure because it's a little suspect, and to get it down low enough for it to truly be effective, we'd had to hang it fairly low, so we came up with some steel stands to support them off the ground. And the tenant that's currently in there right now, Kelly Aerospace, really wasn't wild about losing,
Floor space.
well, it's not a lot of floor space in each four corners, but they would be losing some square footage. So
they're okay with the radiant?
yeah, actually they
heaters?
prefer it.
Okay. They prefer it and it's cheaper.
Yeah, and it's cheaper. It's gonna the
More
efficiency on both the units is roughly the same in regards to energy efficiency, but you're gonna have less heat loss, noticeable
Right.
heat loss.
Yeah.
when
Like you
the-
said, much more comfortable when the doors are open, which I'm sure
Well,
they
and
will
it's a
be.
radiant, it's a radiant heat, so anybody that's underneath is going to feel warm with those unit heaters. Open the door, you're gonna feel the cold air
Yeah.
pretty good. So
Any questions?
Yeah, I do, of course. We've only got,
Did you say I do,
Yeah.
of course?
yeah, well, yeah, you should have known that. We've got one vendor. The process was you contacted a local contractor, and he had his engineer come in to do it. Now, this probably isn't directed to you, but more to staff. Normally on the project, since you're an architect, you're not allowed to design MEP.
didn't design anything at all. We
No.
contact. Well, let me explain how we went through the process on this.
Yeah, that's not my question. When we do a project and we have to use MEP, other people have had to hire MEPs to add receptacles and lights in a small office addition, or changing ductwork for a small room. So on this, we've let the contractor use his supplier's staff engineer to select the equipment. So, in precedence, we operate at a different standard than the public does. So, you know, how can we require a citizen to have to hire a mechanical engineer to modify their ductwork or select their equipment when we can go to a contractor and have him call his supplier and they can use their staff engineer? And the same with the electrical. You know, I had a project, they were just putting receptacles and lights in, and we had to have an electrical engineer lay out the lighting. But, you know, as a city, we can have an electrician figure the price and give it. You know, is there a threshold that we're going to look at in some cases that we do need an engineer, and in other cases, if the service is existing, we don't need an engineer?
This isn't in the city. You know that, don't you? This hangar is not in the city. It's in zone for yeah, it is city-owned property, but it's not in the city. So, like, they wouldn't get a building permit for that area because it's not in the city limits. All those that had the businesses were excluded. In fact, that's part of the area we're going for, trying to correct the zoning to the county, which includes this hangar.
But you know, the Registration Act is statewide. That anything, it's changed a lot, that it's more general now. But, you know, is there a limit that we can not require MEP on things, and at a certain point do? Because, you know, a small addition, it costs the owner $3,500 in engineering, and it's significant on a small project. And, you know, look at this one. If you had to hire a mechanical engineer to select your radiant heaters, and you had to have an electrical engineer design your circuiting and your connection, you know, you're looking at an additional $3,500.
Yeah. That'd probably be a little bit less on that for this, I would suspect.
I think it started as a replacement of unit heaters, and then it kind of got expanded into looking at the radiant tube heaters. You know, it wasn't like an addition or a major remodel. I think it was trying to get in there and get it done as inexpensively as possible.
D got up, and we had him go up to inspect to see if we could even fire the heaters up. There's two large, looks like jet engine deals in the ceiling out there, and there's 6 200,000 BTU heat exchangers in each one, and calls me as I left the job site showing him where it's at. I'm halfway back to town, and he's like, well, gone in the first one, and every one of the heat exchangers is cracked. Go check the other one, see if maybe we're just replacing one set, and gets over the other one. Those are all cracked out, and then the motors were bad on them as well, so he said it wasn't safe for us to fire them up. I asked him for some alternative options on it. That earlier when Kelly was talking, they were asking about heaters and whatnot. So, there was a period of time when I had contacted our MEP engineer to ask him, his opinion on radiant tube and gas fired and what we might be looking at. And, I think he was saying he thought, 4 to 5 unit heaters and probably around 5 tube heaters that would probably be needed for the space, just based on the square footage I was telling him and the size. So, I mean, if the commission wants us to go have them, hold on this and have the engineer, verify, confirm, and do a design on it, I'll gladly give Scott a footprint for it and have him get started on it right away. I'm fine with it.
$1,500 is probably what you're looking at.
That wasn't my question. My question is consistency between the work we do, whether it's in city limits or not, and other clients. We need some consistency.
Yeah. If everybody else is required to use an engineer, the city should be doing the same thing.
I deem this as incidental, quite honestly. If it would have been an addition, no question. I always use an engineer for for everything, but this was started off as a replacement, trying to save a little money, but that's, that's not a problem. Nothing else, I won't even charge and have it verified by my engineer. That's not a problem.
No, like I say, it's not this at all.
Yeah.
I'm talking about other projects. We need to have consistency that
The
we
state
all
statute's clear on
march.
it, so there's not,
Yeah. But
other
then,
than they do mention incidental, and that's
Yeah.
open to interpretation on small things.
yeah, so like if you're you're dividing an open area into 2 rooms, adding lights and 5 receptacles, is that incidental?
If it's a new project, no.
Yeah.
If it's a remodel, it might be.
Yeah.
You're splitting.
If- Yeah, that's where the consistency, when you look at, I've got an office I'm working in and I want to take a large room and put 2 smaller rooms,
Yep.
that's incidental. That's not a project, but to require looking at an MEP when an electrician or a local HVAC contractor could size the ductwork to go strict, yeah, I need a building permit to do the work, but do I need to have an MEP?
We had to get
Stand.
We had to get that done at the Monkey Island, if you remember. We had to get an electrical engineer to do
Yeah.
those, and that wasn't a major.
It was setting
Project.
a panel, wasn't it?
I don't remember all the
And see,
details
that
of it, but
was-
it was to put those heaters in for the animals to meet the requirement.
Well, Commissioner, your point's well taken, and I think we do need to be practical, and sometimes
Yeah.
we can overdo it.
And
towards the
consistent.
public.
I mean,
Okay.
it's got to get the engineer to design something up. Is that what you're asking? to do?
No, I'm not asking for an engineer on this. I'm asking about
Okay.
consistency.
I'm just trying to clarify.
Yeah,
So.
I thought I was clear that I'm not saying we need one to do this design, because I'm sure that their engineer and the
Yeah.
contractor can figure the load on unit heaters. In fact, a lot of times to add additional ductwork, the contractor's quite capable of doing that.
And the actual, the gentleman I met with, he had just done something very similar to this to several hangars over in the Wichita area already. So he's like, got the perfect radiant tube. I asked him about the gas fire because I wanted to make sure that we were able to look at an alternative. Because sometimes those gas fire unit heaters can be fairly inexpensive. So I was actually a little surprised when I got the price from Independence Heat and Air, the difference in the cost.
Yeah, the radiant heat is where you're heating the objects.
Yeah.
That is ideal for those open spaces. They're much more efficient. They recover a lot quicker, where you're not having to heat the air back up.
Well, and I was just, like on the plumbing was a little bit more. And like I said, also with adding those stands, really is what kind of hurt that unit heater price right there. But I'd probably recommend the graded tube, even if the gas fired was a little bit cheaper.
So the one we're looking at says the electrical is estimated, but you said you didn't
It's
get a firm price on
$69.
that.
I've actually printed out and brought a couple copies for you guys. So.
$69 on the radiant tube.
Yeah, this is actually what the revised number would be right there. It would be 33,420 for the radiant tube.
What was our budget? Original estimate?
Original was
32,320.
Oh, thank you. Duh. Sorry about that. Got an old. Okay.
And is this funded from the special use
No, it'll be funded from the economic development.
of economic development?
All right, gentlemen, you ready to move forward on this? Okay. So anyone make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the bid for the radiant tube heaters for the hangar out at the
The
hospital.
round top?
Yeah, the round top hangar.
Okay.
Out at the airport.
That was listed here.
Yeah.
All right. I'll
For
second.
$33,420.
Right. Okay. I'll second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All All right. Wonderful. Thank you, Sean. Okay, moving on to item N. Consider an agreement with Mike Conway to purchase 1 acre in the West Laurel Industrial Park with an option for a 2nd acre. Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you.
Living the dream.
I brought some copies on this property. You should be looking at.
Thank you, sir.
And you see the highlighted area with the one addressed in the agreement for the first purchase.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jeff did a very good job putting the options together for the agreement. I don't really have a lot of questions on this.
Okay.
Wondered if you did.
Your microphone there, man.
I don't know if you have any questions on the agreement or my purpose of purchasing this property. One thing I do know, I need an MEP plan, so we'll get that out of the way right now. It's already been discussed. It's already budgeted.
Lucky for you. We were really hard-nosed on that one after today.
I wouldn't go without it. But it'll be a metal structure building, pre-designed, engineering already done on it. I've talked to Don a little bit on the building permit, but I didn't want to get too far ahead of myself.
Sure.
Until you all approved the agreement or whichever way you go.
Jeff, anything from you on this?
No, we've had several meetings. I think he's got to buy 1 acre with an option to buy the 2nd acre, and that option to be exercised by June 30th of next year. There are some provisions that if the city really had a hot industrial prospect that needed that land, the city could reacquire it, but have to reimburse Mr. Conway.
Right. And so the option for the 2nd acre expires in 6 months.
That's roughly June 30 next year.
Yeah, okay.
So the June 30th date is, that date is when the option expires?
To buy the 2nd acre.
Is there any kind of provision in here that says that within 12 months, 18 months or something that, we just don't buy, I know you got plans, but to protect the city, is there some plans or some option in there to say 12 months, 18 months, that if it doesn't commence because of whatever reason.
If what doesn't commence?
Your project.
Construction.
The construction?
If it doesn't commence, then we would have the right to buy it back.
In paragraph 8B, there's no time frame, but it says if the buyer ceases to use parcel 1 for the stated purpose, the seller shall have option to buy it back. And the price would be the cost of what we sold it for.
Okay.
Or cost of any improvements he made to it. That's if he just didn't develop it at all, or let's say build a building and then got run over by a streetcar the next day, and then it stood vacant for a year or something.
Right, yeah, I understand that.
Sure.
I mean, that's my point, is to be sure that if we do this, because this is a planned industrial park.
Yeah, it's in there. There's no deadline for him to build a building, though. So we didn't really talk about that.
No, we didn't.
I think he's very well underway with the plans, and
I'm not questioning that. I'm not questioning that at all.
What do you want to put a time frame in there?
No, I'm just looking for some protection for the city so that should something happen, Mike, we never know what's going to happen.
No, you don't know. Well, I think you have, unless I misunderstood this, you probably have enough protection for the city the way it is. I mean, you can buy it back at any time. So.
And how did we come up with this price?
I think Mickey had talked real estate agent.
Talking to real estate agent.
Okay. All right.
And of that acre, and I talked to Fred and Leonard before in a previous meeting, and Jeff, only about half of that acre is usable because of the easements and setbacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a weird little.
So, it's a weird little spot.
Mm-hmm. Leonard, anything from you?
No, I don't have any questions.
All right. Fred, any questions?
No. Jeff thinks we're covered. I'm good.
All right. So somebody prepared to make a motion on this one?
I'll make a motion, we approve selling what would the motion be? 1 acre in the West Laurel Industrial Park with an option for the 2nd acre.
Is that good enough, Jeff, for a motion?
Or to approve the agreement.
To approve the agreement,
Agreement with
yes.
Mike
I'm sorry.
Conway.
Yeah, to approve the agreement. With Mike Conway to purchase the 1 acre West Laurel Industrial Park lot with an option for the 2nd acre.
All right, I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you,
And
sir.
I'll get with you, Jeff, on finalizing everything. Or do you need me to sign it now?
Just get it done.
That's a document stating that you will hire a PE for all design.
We can have it. I know where it is.
Good luck, man. Make us proud.
That'll be a good building.
Hire lots of people. Okay. Item O. Consider an agreement to replace the Ash Center roof due to hail damage.
Yeah, this is, we're in agreement with Rec Center and the school that we have to pay 40%, school pays 40, and
Right.
Rec Center pays 20. We had this in the budget originally, and we didn't think that we're going to get anything done on it, so we moved the money. But now we're getting $26,000 back on insurance, which leaves us a $60,000, right at 60 that we have to come up with. And Jen said there's 20,000 left in there, plus she's got the other money in the sales tax.
And 20,000 left in what? Is that?
And we had budgeted for the,
Okay.
that was left. We had the whole thing in there originally, but we didn't think they were going to do it. They first talked about just doing partial. Yeah.
Had a hail problem.
We had a hailstorm.
The insurance company was going to simply put a seal on it, and
All they initially
for
approved
5
was
years.
us to do like a Karnak style seal on top of that modified bit, because the metal roof wasn't damaged. It was just what they call cosmetic damage, dents. But the new school superintendent really hated that answer, so he just kept pushing, and we got the appraiser, we got the adjuster back, and we discussed that since the roof had so many blisters, to properly put the coating on to get the warranty with the coating, we were going to have to cut out a little over 50% of the roof to get rid of the blisters and whatnot. And at that point in time, it's why aren't we replacing the roof? So the insurance adjuster, unclenched and said that we were able to get a new membrane put on, but he wasn't going to pay for all of the roof insulation. He allotted like 5 squares of roof insulation because he felt that the roof insulation wasn't wet enough, and if during the process we determined there was more damaged insulation that he would talk to the insurance company about getting that additional funding. So
and
after
they did
that,
give us $52,000,
Yeah, so
but it's
after-
got a $26,000 deductible, which leaves us
What was $26,000 deductible?
Yeah.
So we looked at a couple options on the roof, and the school district was interested in looking at putting a membrane over the gym roof, but it's such a high slope roof, it wouldn't look good at all. So we asked some contractors for pricing for do a roof hugger system and put some additional insulation down on top of that in the process. So we've got a price on the gym roof for a standing seam metal roof over a roof hugger system with an additional 2 inches of insulation, new gutters, downspouts, roof coping and flashings for that roof. We're also in best price for the roof area C, which are the entry roofs on the north and south side. That's just going to be a total new roof. They're going to just take that roof off, put new metal on it, and then the modified roof, which is the center section, that'll be take it down to deck, and that'll be new roof insulation and a 90 mil white I believe, yeah. We're going to go with the white EPDM roof on that with a 30-year hail and puncture-resistant warranty. So we've got that option for the 30-year warranty on it.
Good.
So we contacted, contractors that are certified, 3 contractors certified in both Carlisle and Firestone systems that are equal to that type of membrane. They're also able to do the metal. 2 of them got back with us. We did get in touch with the contractor that was scheduled to do the roof, and he declined. Since he doesn't do those systems, he declined to provide a bid or even an alternative. So we're coming to you to do this roof with Ray Roofing for the $174,002.
That's the original roof that's been replaced.
That's the original roof on the building. It's never been replaced.
That's okay.
The only roof that was replaced was the gym roof. The pool roof that was replaced about, I think it was like 10 or 11 years ago. The gym roof is original, and during the right rain and snow seasons, it will leak a little bit on the floor. So this is a much needed improvement on that roof as well.
Over the gym floor.
Over the gym floor,
It'll
because
ruin the gym floor.
There's discussions about doing some repair work on the gym floor in the next couple of years. So getting that roof fixed first is the priority right there.
Well, you're almost retired, but you're still an architect. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the way to go on the modified is the ones with a warranty for the hail damage. That really is worth the extra money.
Okay. I agree with that. I agree with that.
We looked at building back with the modified, but we've got 2 roofs dumping on that one as well, and in the areas where that's you've got the downspouts, it's washed that granular surface on that modified out, significantly. So the EPDM is going to hold up a lot better in that regards compared to the modified.
Yeah, it's always a problem when you discharge the water from the pipe on. You can put splash pans, but it still erodes the surface. The EPDM will really improve the performance.
We're also getting new coping on the low roof area as well as scupper boxes on the north side of the building with that price. So
on the low roof, how's the overflow handled? Interior drains or scuppers?
Scupper overflow points in the scupper area, yes.
So we need a motion to approve our share of that. It's just a hair under $60,000.
Well, actually, the agreement's with the city, and then
So we're approving the whole
the
whole
contract,
contract.
and then we'll have to get
And then it'll
reimbursed.
have to be,
The others have already approved it, or we need to?
I don't know that the boards have approved it, but the staffs have approved. You could approve it contingent on the
Pending
other
on the other
2 boards
ones approving
approving.
it, do it that way.
So approve this agreement pending the approval of the other 2 boards.
USD and the rec commission.
Okay.
The city owns it, and the others just participate in operation.
Technically, yes, and we also have an issue with the insurance. By the contract, we're supposed to have replacement insurance.
No, but that quote came in at $300. Builder's risk.
Yeah, no, I mean the full replacement.
Oh, okay.
And we haven't had that type of insurance. So if we get it repaired, we need to decide whether we're going to get insurance or not. With that warranty, we've talked about the insurance situation, but that could come in a different night. We've got some time.
that's the agreement with the rec commission and
Yes,
school district.
They haven't said anything about it, so I think we're good now.
So we're approving a contract with
Ray Roofing.
Ray Roofing. They're
Ray
a good
Roofing.
outfit.
Yeah.
They're a real good outfit. They did some work.
So I move that we approve the bid submitted by Ray Roofing, contingent on the other 2 entities' boards approving their share of the project. Is that good enough? All right, may I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Sean. All right. Item P, sales tax report. Anything of note there? Stepped down a little bit over the last 2 years.
About 30,000.
Any questions on that, gentlemen? All right, hearing none, I'm going to move on. Q, update on city projects.
The rate study, we have got the draft rate study, but there's some issues we've got to work out. It wasn't it was our fault and not the consultant's fault, but we've got some accounts that were not included in the rate study. We've got to add ones out of town. We had just done those for another issue, and the attorney just wanted the ones inside the city, and our staff sent that, and it excluded the outside the city accounts. Downtown trees, we are waiting to get the trees. The nursery won't dig the trees until after the first hard frost. So we may be December getting those trees. But whenever we get them, we will set up a Saturday to plant them. The waterline project, Terry's here, but basically on the waterline project for Labette Health, we have hit more rock than we anticipated. We're probably going to have to buy or lease have somebody come in to help us on cutting the rock. So it hasn't gone nearly as quickly as we anticipated. What we're thinking about doing is going ahead and tying in on the other side first so that they'll at least have some water service, but they won't be able to tell pressure until we get that completed. But it's not, we can get it done, but it's going to take longer than we anticipated. And the newspaper wanted to know if we were interested in giving a thank you to all the city employees that helped on the festival. I thought it was a great idea. And I and all the department heads have done that, but I think it'd be good if the commission would be a part of that as well.
Okay.
With the consensus of the board.
I read that. Just haven't had time to get to it. It's got to be due tomorrow.
Yeah, we need to do it tomorrow. So if you just make a motion.
Terrible idea then.
We can help you get it done.
No, it's fine. Just kidding. Okay, but I don't think we need a motion for that, do we?
I don't think you don't really need a motion, just a consensus.
All right. Yeah. Any other updates?
No.
Any questions, gentlemen? Okay. All right. Item R, report on city board minutes. Got the Recreation Commission minutes. Any discussion on that, or shall we move on?
Move on.
Okay. Next is commissioner comments. Leonard, anything you want to bring up?
Well, we kind of touched on some of it last meeting with the costs and the expenses of operating Building D. Wondering if we've got a revised operational budget to look at. So, we've only had tentative budgets so far, and again, with the expenses that we've got, looking at, completing this year, but projecting into next year. Then expenses for the temporary relocate and the building. I guess my concern is with our budget, and after the audit that we had where we overspent the two areas, and I know we've had a lot of money coming, and just tonight we've looked at items that's coming out of special use sales tax. We talked about some of the transfer coming from special use sales tax. Have we actually sat down to take and see how much money it's going to cost and how much money is left? 'Cause when we were looking at the $4 million KDHE loan, we looked at the Lakeview lift station being funded out of that, and then we also had Basin 5 out of that at one time. So, we've had to postpone Basin 5, and just where making sure we got the money to keep going and how the expenses are going to end up. That I think our initial operation estimate was to use some historic tax credit money from Memorial Hall to supplement the shortcome of what money we had received, but our estimates have been off on electric, and I think we need to look before it's too late that we can have time to move. And
Yeah, we should have some, at least we should be starting to get some pretty good data now.
Yeah. And some of the things looking, at some of the expenses going through the appropriation for consultants, engineering, architectural, and PR, we've spent so far $146,000 that wasn't in the budget. That we didn't have an on-call contract amount budgeted for trans systems, and we've got a lot of money going out that wasn't in the budget. So what's not going to get done, what's going to get done, I think, if we could start pulling these together so we'll have a more accurate view. Those are my concern.
Great. All right. Some great points. The only other thing that we haven't talked about yet is our agreement with Trainer. We're going to do that in executive session since we're negotiating the contract. Okay. All right. Commission comments. Public concerns. I believe I only have one tonight. Debbie Miller.
Last time that thing jerked me out of 4 seconds. So if it does this time, I'm going to take 4 extra seconds, okay? But I cut out a paragraph, so it shouldn't do that.
You tell me when.
Okay, I'd say go. You ready? Last week, I obtained from the district court a copy of Judge William Cullen's summary judgment order involving the lawsuit against the city by Sewer District 2. In that order, there are 2 things that should be of great concern to any commissioner committed to providing us with a city government that conducts itself in the most well-managed, ethical, and legal manner possible. First, Judge Collins noted that the city was unable to provide certain information relevant to the case, something any well-run city government should be able to do. Earlier this year, I filed 2 Kansas Open Record Act complaints against the city. I now have 14 additional KORA complaints and have recently retained an attorney to explore the possibility of filing a civil lawsuit against the city pertaining to those 14 violations. No city should be allowed to put itself above the law. Secondly, for each of the last 5 years, the city has raised our water and sewer rates 5% for a total compounded rate of over 27%. In his order, Judge Collins noted that our state law, quote, imposes a mandatory duty on cities with combined water and sewer systems to establish and set reasonable rates, end quote. He noted the city took no such action when establishing our water and sewer rates. Instead, the city arbitrarily set those rates, which per the courts is unacceptable. Although Mickey Webb has been compensated to know and convey to our commissioners our state laws, for the last 5 years the city has violated our rights and our state laws when establishing and setting our water and sewer rates. Perhaps worse still is that once the city had collected those ill-gotten revenues, it irresponsibly moved millions of dollars of them from the water department to the general fund, where they were spent on items completely unrelated to the water department. As a result, we taxpayers are now faced with a $3 million bill to update water facilities that should have been constantly maintained. It's the same nightmare we are facing with City Hall, which our city also failed to maintain. For over 6 years, we taxpayers have had to endure a city government that has been poorly, wastefully, and in some cases illegally run because our city commissioners have allowed Mickey Webb to run it in such a manner. Hopefully next month, this commission will do what's in our best interest and not renew his contract. After all, no one should have to endure a city government that is poorly, wastefully, and unethically run, and no one should have to file lawsuits because the city commissioners have allowed the city to violate the law. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. All right. Seeing no other public concerns, we will move to executive session. The first executive session for attorney-client privilege, what do you think, 20 minutes? 10?
Whatever you think you need.
15?
Good compromise.
Okay. 15 minutes. So it's 7:15. We'll be back in at 7:30.
Take a second to go.
So, okay. You
Take
say
a minute. I gotta go back.
Oh, take a second. I thought you were seconding my motion.
Second.
All in favor, please
With
say
a
aye.
time
Aye.
so we can go
Okay.
up to the little boys' room.
Okay.
Please.
Yes.
Aye.
All right. We are back in session. And now we're going to go into another executive session to discuss personnel matters, just the three commissioners, for 20 minutes. Can I have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. I'm knocking 20 minutes, if you will. Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.